Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is your man Pristine back with another video. Today I've got another unboxing for you. I'm going to be unboxing the Asus Zenfone AR, which the AR stands for Augmented Reality. Now, this is the first smartphone that is Google Daydream VR headset compatible, and it also has a technology called Tango, which allows you to really utilize the AR technologies that are built within this particular device. And with the augmented reality, you're able to do some pretty amazing things with the camera. So without further ado, let's get into the box and see what's happening. All right, y'all. Yeah.
All right, y'all. So getting underway with the Zenfone AR here. Again, this your man Pristine. Let's get into this box, y'all. So real quick before we open the box up, we'll check the presentation. As you can see, we've got the Zenfone AR branding right there on the top of the device, on the on the top of the box actually. But it's a pretty solid presentation. To the right, you see we've got the excuse me, the Google Daydream VR little logo right there. And then you can see we've got a little Asus branding right here on the back of the box. We've got the Tango logo right there along with all the serial numbers and all that jazz. And then we've got the Asus branding again right there. Now this is one of those little sleeves, you know, so you just go ahead and slide that out. And here's your box here. Same thing on the side, on the top and sides of the box here. So we'll go ahead and crack the box open. Now I did, you know, crack the phone out of the box early just because I wanted to go ahead and get the phone set up to my liking, get everything situated how I normally rock with it, so that it's just completely ready. And you know, the setup and everything as far as like the fingerprints and all that stuff's the same. You know what I mean? It's just the typical same Android setup. So nothing different. You didn't miss anything with that. Now, here's the device. Now, we've got a very attractive looking device here. And, you know, we'll scroll around to the back and look at that. Really nice texture here on the back. Really feeling what Asus is doing with this particular package. Now, we'll go ahead and file the phone to the side for now and see what else comes in the box. Now, we are here. Let's see, we'll go ahead and open this up. And we've got our semi-ejection tool right there. And we've got some literature here. We've got, you know, some information for Daydream, product safety and warranty information, important consumer safety information, and then meet your phone. So typical literature that normally comes with these devices. We'll go ahead and file that aside and see what else comes in the box here. So let's see, we do get a set of Asus branded earphones, and it does look like there are some additional earbud sizes that are in there that that we've got to customize the headphones. So that's pretty solid there. Here we've got our Type-C USB cable, and here we've got the power brick here, which supports Quick Charge 3.0, and from what sources have said, this phone can charge from 0 to 70 in approximately a half hour, so that's actually not bad. All right, let's see, anything else in the box? No, there's nothing else in the box, unfortunately. Now, the reason why I say unfortunately is because typically Asus, they normally pack everything in the box, you know, screen protectors, a case, all of that kind of thing. But I'm wondering, you know, since this is more of a premium package and it's being sold exclusively through Verizon, I'm pretty sure Verizon had something to do with why it's not in there, so that you can go and spend more money on a case, you know, that they're selling you for $45 or something ridiculous. So I'll remedy that by going on Amazon and just finding a nice, decent case for 10 or 15 bucks, and there you go. All right. Now, before we go over the hardware really quickly, I want to talk to you about the specs really quickly, just to give you guys a clear indication of what this phone is housing, because this phone is a beast. I mean, it is an absolute monster of a device. All right. So we've got a 5.7-inch Quad HD Super AMOLED display. 2560 by 1440 pixels. We've got Corning Gorilla Glass 4 for protection here on the front. We've got a 79% screen to body aspect ratio, and the reason why that's important, because this isn't the first phone that had Tango technology, but apparently the other phones that tried it, they were really big bricks. They were really big phones and they were really cumbersome. People felt that they were really uncomfortable and they were just too much. And so this is the smallest, thinnest package that is offering the Tango experience. So that's why that information is important. All right, now we're running Android 7.0 Nougat fresh out of the box. My understanding is that there is going to be an update being pushed to the device soon to update to 7.1.1. We've got a Snapdragon 821 processor. We've got 128 gigs of onboard storage. 8 gigs of RAM. Okay, 8 gigs of RAM. There's two variants. There's a 64 gig variant with 6 gigs of RAM. That's going to cost you $599. This is the 8 gig of RAM, 128 gig variant, which is going to cost you $699 unlocked. We've got a PPI pixel density of 515 pixels for all you techies out there. We've got an Adreno GPU of 530, and we are running the Asus Zenfone 3.0. We do have NFC, so if you like to do, wireless, transfers or mobile pay through Android Pay, you do have that capability. This is a dual SIM setup, so you do have the option to have dual nano SIMs or an SD card slot. You can expand the memory up to 100 and well, actually it comes with 128 gigs. You can expand the memory up to 256 gigs. All right. Yeah, so moving along with the hardware, as you can see here, top of the device here, we've got Asus branding that's right underneath the receiver. We've got a little LED notification light right there. You guys can't see it. It's not blinking. And then here's our 8 megapixel front facing camera. Now the thing that I like about the LED light, and you may be able to do this on other devices, but I saw it in the settings on this device, is you can change the color for different notifications. So for like my text messages, I've got it blinking red. For like messages on Facebook Messenger and all that, it blinks green. So I can just look at my screen and just look at the color of the notification LED, and then it'll tell me exactly what type of message is waiting for me. So I like that, just little things. Now to the bottom of the device here, we do have a touch capacitive home button, and as you can see, well, it's an actual physical button, and then we do have touch capacitive buttons for the back and the recents button that are on the side right there. But we do have a physical button that you press, and you guys can see that right there. That's our home button, and that also doubles as the fingerprint sensor as well. And so you see now it's on the lock screen, and you just barely tap the device, and boom, it just opens up. It opens up immediately. You can double tap to sleep and double tap to wake. When you double tap to wake, it just brings you to your lock screen, and then you just go ahead and tap that fingerprint sensor and it just opens right up with no problems. Okay, so this is the front of the device. Now moving around to the right side of the device, we've got, and I also like how we've got this it's made with this this metal around the sides, and the phone, it's a lightweight. I mean, it's a big phone, it's a 5.7 inches, but it's it's not like it's like it's got a all metal unibody. I mean, so it doesn't have that type of weight. Now we do have metal along the sides, for protection, so it feels very durable and premium, but it's still a bit of a featherweight, and I like that. I don't like feeling like I'm being weighed down, if I've got my phone in my pocket. So I like the fact that, although you've got a big phone and all these top specs, it's not a really heavy device. It's not gonna, weigh you down if it's in your pocket. All right, now as far as the button placement, we do have the home and sleep button here, and we've got the volume rockers here. Okay, now interesting, usually the home and the sleep button is the one that's textured, but Asus on this particular package, they also put texture on the volume rockers as well. Now, you can clearly distinguish between which is which, because the volume rockers are always, longer than the actual power in the sleep button. So, if you're grabbing the phone out of your pocket and, you reach down and you want to adjust the volume, or, the phone's ringing and you want to mute it or something like that, you should be able to easily tell, which is which just by having your finger on it. But there is texture on both the home button and the volume rocker keys. All right, now to the top of the device, we've got an antenna line right there, noise canceling mic, another antenna line. To the left of the device, here is where our nano SIM tray lives. Bottom of the device, we've got another antenna line, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, another noise canceling microphone here, Type-C USB port, bottom firing speaker, which is very loud, by the way, and another non-intrusive antenna line right there. And I like where they place the antenna lines. You know, it doesn't interfere with the overall look of the device. You know, they're very, very discreet, and you barely even notice them. Now, moving around to the back of the device. Now, this is where a lot of the magic happens. This is where a lot of the magic happens. And, oh, there's a little NFC sticker right there. I forgot to peel that off, but I'll peel that off. But this is where the NFC technology lives. And so if you're, doing mobile pay or transferring data or information, then this is where you would want to touch for NFC. Now, you see here, as I mentioned, this is a Verizon exclusive phone, and so we do have Verizon branding right here. And then on the bottom of the device, we've got the little Tango branding right there. Now, here's our rear-facing camera. This is called a tri-cam system. And the reason why it's being called a tri-cam system is because there's 3 cameras there. So you see we've got our dual tone LED flash. We've got our main camera, which is a 23 megapixel shooter. We've got another sensor that sits on top of that for motion tracking. And then we've got another sensor that's to the right of that for depth perception. And there's another little laser right here that really helps with that. So when you open up the viewfinder and you look at you look at an area, just say like if you're in a room, for instance, let's just say you're in an empty room. Excuse me, y'all. The motion tracking based on your movement is going to be able to dictate and determine where the device is currently, just based off of your movement. Now, the depth sensing sensor, which is right here, along with the laser that's beneath it, is going to be able to tell how close or how far away it is from objects. So this is all these sensors in this area here working in unison with one another is really what creates the Tango experience. So that's why they use the example of, or a good example of Tango, of just being able to be in an empty room and say, like, if you're trying to put an office together, you can take a picture of the office while it's empty. And there's a bunch of applications and things provided by Tango where you can go in and you can take like furniture pieces and move them around in the room and basically make it seem like they're there, but they're really not. That's what's called augmented reality. That's what AR stands for. So you can take these augmented reality figures or furniture pieces or whatever and really set them up in the room exactly how you would set it up before you go spend the dime. You can do other cool shit like, different, effects, with the camera and, putting things in a shot that aren't really there, but, with your naked eye, they're not there. But then when you look at it through the lens of the camera, they're there. Just little fun things that you can do. The phone's it's Daydream compatible. So you've got some cool VR games and augmented reality features that you can really utilize with this technology. Things that are fun and interesting. So this is a very interesting device. I mean, Asus, it just seems like they really went all out with this camera. And this camera is nothing short of amazing. I'm not sure if you guys watched my Asus Zenfone 3 Zoom video. If you haven't, I urge you to go check that out. And even if you don't want to watch the whole video, just fast forward to the part of the video where I took video footage and took the still shots. I mean, I took some unbelievable photos with that camera, and this is the same camera technology here, but it's a little bit beefed up with this just because you really have to have a strong camera to be able to support Tango and its augmented reality functionality. And so the plan is to really learn a little more about it and figure it out so that I have some footage to show you guys in the pristine review that I do on this particular device. Now, as far as the camera features, we've got optical image stabilization, we've got electronic image stabilization, we've got a whole slew of things that you can customize, pro mode, manual mode, beautification mode, night mode, just all these different modes and things that you can tweak to really get that image or that video footage that you're looking for. And then we also just have, typical things that come with cameras like geotagging, touch focus, face detection, HDR, panorama. All those kind of things are all implemented within this camera here on the back, on the rear, and in the front. As I mentioned, on the front, we've got a 8 megapixel selfie camera there. That's the camera. Now, as far as audio quality, now we don't have dual speakers. I was under the impression first that we did have a speaker here in the receiver and then the bottom firing speaker here. Now, that's not the reality, but you're not going to miss a beat with this camera. It doesn't really need dual speakers because it has this audio technology in it that is just it's unbelievable. I mean, there's a lot of presets and things that you can tweak. There's an equalizer. You can really customize the sound and really make it your own. So there's a lot of big sound that come from this bottom firing speaker. You're not going to have any problems listening to content. If you watch Netflix or Hulu, or if you're streaming YouTube videos, I mean, you're going to be able to hear those things very easily. This phone gets extremely loud. Now, with the battery, we've got a 3,300 milliamp hour battery. So a 3,300 milliamp hour non-removable battery that does support quick charge 3.0. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, the battery can be charged from 0 to 70% in a half hour. So that's not bad. This is definitely one of those types of devices. If you're in an urgent situation and your battery's low, you can literally throw it on a charger, for 10, 15 minutes if you've got that time to spare, and you're probably going to be good to go to do whatever you need to go and do. Yeah, now with the software, as I mentioned, we're running Android 7.0. According to Asus, there's going to be an update for 7.1.1 that's going to be pushed out very soon. We'll see exactly how soon that happens. But again, you can't expect for the performance on this device to be any less than stellar when you've got 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of onboard storage, man. I mean, that is ridiculous. We've got the Snapdragon 821 processor. Now, some of you may ask, why didn't they go with the Snapdragon 835? I'm actually glad that they didn't, because for one, that would have beefed up the price. But for two, they didn't need to go with the Snapdragon 835 processor. The 821 is optimized perfectly to do exactly what this phone is capable of doing, especially with all the augmented reality and Tango stuff. So, they've got just the right fit as far as the processor for everything that this phone needs in order to make it work. And, from things that I've seen, other reviews that I've seen on this device, I mean, things work pretty seamlessly. Now, as far as performance, I mean, you see just things are buttery smooth. Things are very responsive. I mean, I'm barely tapping the screen here. Got a cool little effect there. You just hold down. You can do this with a lot of Android devices, but for preferences, if you long press and then scroll effect, that's what I was looking for. There's a bunch of different little things that you can do to change the scroll effect, and I like that feature, just because you can really customize the device, make it your own, so that it's not like a lot of other people's devices. Now if you scroll down, as I mentioned, we are running the Zen UI 3.0, which I'm a big fan of. Some of you guys slam it, and you guys say it looks childish or it looks kiddie or whatever. I like it because it's different. You know what I mean? I don't want to say I hate stock Android, but I'm not really a big fan of stock Android, man. It's boring, and I don't like all of my phones just looking exactly the same, so it's just a matter of opinion. I like the Zen UI 3.0 because it looks different. I think it looks pretty cool. And they always come very feature packed. I mean, these phones are extremely feature rich, so, and I like that. So again, you scroll down, it's your typical Android 7.0 setup. I mean, it just may look a little different because you've got the Zen UI 3.0 skin on top of Android. But aside from that, it's your typical Android experience. Okay, we do have an app drawer here. Now as far as I can tell, you don't have the ability to change the home screen from an app drawer to not having an app drawer. So, to some of you that may be a hindrance. Others, like myself, I could care less about that. I'm used to it either way. Most of my devices don't have an app drawer, or if I do have the option to have an app drawer, I choose not to, just because I've gotten used to not having one. But on this particular device, you've got an app drawer. Okay. So now if we take it to the settings real quick. Let's see. Okay, we've just got a whole slew of settings. You've got your wireless and networks. I did mention that this phone does have NFC, which is right there. And let's see, device, personal, system. And we do have a bunch of gestures and things. Again, as I displayed early in the video, we've got the double tap to lock the screen, double tap to wake it up. If you want to access the camera quickly, you can, just double click on the volume rocker and it'll access the camera quickly. While the phone is asleep, you can take your knuckle or your finger and you can draw different letters to open up different applications. You can draw a C for the camera. You can draw, a G for Google or something like that, so there's little cool things that you can do with that. Me personally, I don't really, mess around with those kind of things. But I guess it's good that they have those things there. Now there are, under battery, there are battery optimization, optimizations that you can customize to really extend the life of your battery, which is cool. But I'd also urge you guys just to turn off a lot of the stuff that you're not using, like Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth, all the things that are really going to fry your battery because it's constantly looking for something to connect to when you're not using it. That's a lot of times why people can't really sustain good battery life. So that it helps out in a major way. And so let's see, I believe I touched on everything. Real quick, I am connected to my Verizon 4G LTE right now, and so I'll just go ahead and open up some apps here. Okay, Gmail, just to kind of give you guys an idea of how snappy this processor, this 821 Snapdragon coupled with these 8 gigs of RAM. That is crazy. And the price point for this, like I said, this is the Verizon exclusive variant, and so this was $648. As I mentioned earlier, if you order this from Amazon, the 128 onboard storage with the 8 gig of RAM is going to cost you $699, and the 64 gig onboard storage with 6 gigs of RAM is going to cost you $599. So there's $100 difference there. But you've also got some competition there because you do have phones like your OnePlus 5 that has a 6 gig of RAM variant or an 8 gig of RAM variant, and those are both running the Snapdragon 835 processor. So for those of you that feel you need the latest and the greatest, I mean, that as far as processor is concerned, I mean, that is an option. So that's the playing field that this particular device is in. That's the lane that it's in. RAM management, obviously, is not going to be a problem at all whatsoever, as you can see. Just scrolling, you just go to it. Well, Google Play Movies had to reload, but you go to Docs just pops right back up. Calendar just pops right back up. Let's see, Maps just pops right back up. Google just pops right back up. Oh yeah, I gotta read some of this stuff. Yeah, this is how I find out a lot of my news with the phones and stuff going on. But yeah, I gotta go back and read some of that. Okay. But yeah, y'all. That's all I got for now. So you guys know how this goes, man. I mean, I rock the phone, as my daily driver for a good week and a half, maybe 2.5 weeks at the most. I know that I haven't really been pushing out content much lately. My wife was badly injured in an accident, and she just needed me to step up and do a little more and be a little bit more active with the kids and work, and just been busy with that. And so But yeah, so I'm slowly getting back into, making time to do this. I love doing this, and I appreciate you guys for rocking with me, all my subscribers, those that have been rocking with me for a while, all my new subscribers, welcome, welcome to the journey. And you guys all stay tuned. I've got a lot of good content coming, a lot of great phones that are coming out. It's an exciting time in the smartphone world right now. Yeah, I just look forward to get my hands on these devices and keep bringing you this content. And yeah, so yeah, until the next video, you guys already know. Oh, as far as colors, I believe that the only color variant that you can get this phone in is this black. And I'm not sure if I mentioned, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I turned the phone around and I started talking about the camera. But I did also want to mention that the texture on the back here, it's a really soft material. Asus is calling this burnished leather. And it's interesting because, when I took it out of the box, I had this little smell when I took it out of the plastic. And I was like, what is that? And I smelled the back of the phone, and it smelled just like leather. So apparently, from what Asus is saying, it's burnished leather. And so again, it feels really good in the hand. And although the phone, it's 5.7 inches, it's a big device, but it's not. It's kind of thin now. It's not as thin as the S8. It's not. It doesn't feel like it. It's a 5.7-inch screen, but it doesn't really feel like it. Like I said, I mean, it's very lightweight. The edges are curved. I mean, so it's a comfortable feel. But just that burnished leather on the back just really gives it a soft touch while it's in my hand. I mean, it feels really good in my hand. It doesn't feel like it's gonna slip at all whatsoever. And I'm a fan of this. I mean, it's not like a glass back or anything that feels like it's really slippery. It's not a fingerprint magnet or anything. I mean, so really, I mean, with the exception of the Gorilla Glass on the front, you want to wipe that down. I'm sure you guys can see a few little smudges here and there, but I love the build of this particular device. Asus, they did well with this one. Well, I'm a fan of Asus anyway. I mean, so I think a lot of their devices are dope, and I think they're underrated. But yeah, I mean, I really like the way that this feels. You guys can see there is a little bit of a curve there, along the edges. And so that also helps as well while you're holding the phone in your hand, get a much better grip on it. So, yeah, this is the Asus Zenfone AR. I'm your man, Pristine, bringing you the content. Until the Pristine review, you guys already know, please stay safe. Don't hesitate to get spiritually fit if you haven't already. God is always ready to start over. We are definitely living in the last days. If you don't believe me, just turn on the news, man. If you don't believe me, look at who's in the White House. And I don't mean that to be offensive to anybody. If you voted for Trump, hey, I don't disrespect anybody's political views. But it is what it is. And y'all stay pristine in every aspect of your lives. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.